Howdy y'all, Caleb here, and today we're talking Kroxigor. Kroxigor, Kroxigor. I have a feeling Kroxigor are going to be pretty fun in this edition. We'll see how that plays out. I'm currently, you saw I picked up some old metal Kroxigor, so I'm working on those guys right now. So I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna have 9 Kroxigor now, so I really want to run some Kroxigor, see how they do. I'm probably gonna take them to the next tournament I'm in because it's been a while. I used to run Kroxigor in the Thunderquake Battalion, and that was so much fun. And it's been a long time since they've really seen the table very seriously for me. So, all right, enough of that. We're gonna go over Kroxigor in the Bounty Hunters Battalion because it offers some interesting ideas here. And we'll look at that. Bounty Hunters is a battalion that gives you +1 damage when you're fighting Galician veteran units. Why that's important is because Kroxigor excel at fighting hordes. They have this ability on their Warscroll. And we'll look at it here. Sweeping blows. There you go. Sweeping blows. And it gives you the number of attacks equal to how many guys are within 2 inches of you from the enemy, obviously. And so that gives us a nice counterplay of here. Galician veterans are usually going to be large units. Kroxigor are good at hunting those down. And so let's look at the numbers for what Kroxigor might do in Bounty Hunters. All right, first off, we've talked about Kroxigor in previous videos, but if you already know all about them, skip past this. I'll timestamp everything. But Kroxigor do have an 8-inch move, which isn't bad for something this big. You don't really expect them to be, super fast. They are a big lumbering monster. So 8-inch move is fine. 4 wounds each, which fits them into that kind of weird category. You almost want them to have 5 wounds just so they could count more on objectives, but 4 wounds on a 4-up save, 7 bravery. So generally, they come in units of 3. You won't have to worry about battle shock until you lost 2 of them. And even then, you don't really have to worry about too much. So bravery's fine. They do still benefit from the -1 damage in Coalesced. And so that's very good because Coalesced is... They changed that scaly skin rule to rule out some things, but Kroxigor stayed in. So that's nice. You can play Kroxigor, I think, in both major subfactions, Starborn or Coalesced. But I think Coalesce is still we'll have to wait and see. But I think Coalesce is still the stronger choice because of that -1 damage. It's still just so strong, especially with as much damage as going on right now. It's a great way to tank some of that damage. Let's look at their profiles here. They have a couple of different profiles. The Drake Bite Maul. It has a flat 4 attacks, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, -1 Ren, 2 damage. So not shabby, but you hate to see that 4-up to hit, especially when they have this ability that +1 to hit rolls if you're wholly within 6 inches of any skink units. That's a bummer. That's like ancient lore there, battle synergy. So yeah, I didn't play Seraphim back in the day, but apparently they came in a unit with skinks or something. And so correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's like from way back when. Kind of weird. There's other ways to give them +1 attack, obviously, just all out attack or anything, but because they're not an elite, they don't have a champion, there's no way they can't issue commands to themselves. So that kind of stinks. So you usually need to have something near them anyway. I try to sometimes keep like a Bastildon or a Stegodon near them, but if they're charging in, you have to be wholly within 6 inches. And so you're going to have to charge in whatever else, like that Bastildon or the Stegodon, to keep them in range. So the couple times I've thrown them on the table lately, I just end up spending a command point from like a hero nearby that's not in combat. It just seems easier. The only time I usually end up getting that is if somebody's charged me. So, it is what it is. A free 1-up +1 to hit. You can't complain too much, just as long as the conditions are right. Jaws, you do get some mortal wounds here from 6s to hit from their jaws, and that's nice in that you get it extra jaw attacks in Coalesce. So you do have 2 attacks each. Not going to do a ton of damage, but it is an addition, which is nice. So that won't negate like our bounty hunters where we're doing 2 damage attacks on these vice-like jaws. If you roll a 6, you're getting a mortal, and it's in addition. So that's nice. But really, the highlight here is this sweeping blows, and that comes from the Moonhammer. You're gonna have 1 model with a Moonhammer, and you'll get as many attacks as there are units within 2 inches, and that's pretty big because before I there was a debate whether I would whether to take all Mauls, just 3 Mauls, or take a Moonhammer. Before we weren't seeing as many hordes. I'd almost say take all the Mauls. You have consistent damage. But I think now that we're going to see a lot of hordes, you take the Moonhammer every single time. Here's the Kroxigor with Mauls and Coalesced. It's not very good damage. In fact, it's kind of pathetic just right off their Warscroll. As with most Seraphim stuff, you have got to buff things up. And you got to find the right synergies to do that with. Kroxigor are no exception. You have to get the right buffs. If they do get +1 to hit, either from the Skink Aura or All Out Attack, you're doing a little bit better. But still, for 150 points, you want more than 9, almost 10 damage. So we do want to. I do want to focus a little bit. We've talked about this before, but I want to focus a little bit on how many models you can get within 2 inches. In fact, there's a unit of 20 Plague Monks, but they're on 25mm bases. They're going to be base to base in this edition specifically because of unit coherency, and also they get to fight in double ranks. And 2 inches is going to get you quite a bit of range. I mean, you're getting the majority of these units in range. You're getting about 12 of those 20 in range. So you can get quite a few. Not the whole unit, obviously, but that's getting you 12 attacks. So when you look back at this Warscroll and how many attacks am I getting? I'm getting 12. And each one's doing a base 2 damage. But in Bounty Hunters, if that's a Galician veteran, they're going to be doing 3 damage, which is awesome. All right, so let's look at the damage now. Moonhammer with 12 attacks. All of a sudden, we're getting pretty good damage. +1 jaw attacks, +1 to hit from something, and then +1 damage in versus Galician veterans while you're in Bounty Hunters. And now you're up to 22 damage versus a 4-up save. Now, this is, you do have to have some conditions. You do have to be going into a horde unit like the one I had shown with 25mm bases, which there's a lot of those out there. But already unbuffed, you're spending 1 command point, or if you're in range of a skink, you're not even buffing them at all. And now all of a sudden, that Moonhammer is going off. You're going from 9 damage to 22.5. So that's also that's the same as the Knights we talked about yesterday when they have a Skink Star Priest buffing them up in Bounty Hunters. So for 150 points, Kroxigor can kind of operate on their own and do quite a bit of damage, especially if you can hunt down those hordes. Here's where the fun part happens. Here's where it gets fun. 2 Moonhammers. Let's reinforce this unit. We're going to put our Moonhammers there in the middle. They're going to be hitting a ton of stuff. You can still hit all 4 of these with their jaws and their weapons. These, because it's a 2-inch range, their Mauls can actually hit over the top of these 50mm bases. So that's kind of nice. Jaws won't be able to hit, but that's all right. That's not that big a deal for those guys. You're getting the big attacks in. So let's say you're getting the same amount of attacks here. You're getting 12 attacks. This one's, scooted over a little bit more. This one here is hitting over to this side, so, or not quite that far, but hitting there. So you're still getting 12 attacks each. So a total of 24 attacks. There you go. You're getting 41 damage. Now, it's not exactly double what it was before just because you're losing some of the jaw attacks there. But that's nice. It's 300 points, so you'd expect it to do quite a bit of damage, but you're not really even buffing them that much. So that they can slap. That'll obviously 41 damage is going to kill most hordes. Most Galician veteran hordes. Even if they have a, if let's say it's 20 models on a 2-up save, you're still going to clear it. So that's pretty awesome. That's a lot of damage. I don't know that that's necessary on most things. I think a unit of 3 is going to be fine, but it is possible. How about some How about some god tier buffs here? 6 Kroxigor, 2 Moonhammers, getting 24 attacks each. We're in Coalesce for extra jaws. We have the +1 to hit from something. We've got Galician veterans. We're attacking when we're in bounty hunters. Hand of Glory from the Skink Star Priest for reroll hit rolls of 1. Let's do -1 to enemy save from Starseer, -1 to save from Purple Sun, and mortal wounds on 6s to wound from the Star Priest. So you've got 2 heroes buffing them and a Purple Sun. Not too shabby. I mean, obviously, I think you could even probably do more if you did like Curse or something. But this does, hey, 78, almost 80 damage versus a 4-up save. That's a little overkill. Obviously, you don't need that kind of. Maybe against like Mortek Guard. Maybe we could finally kill some Mortek Guard in melee with this. But obviously, that's overkill. You add in Curse. Let's see. Was any of that negate Curse? I don't think so. So you'd still get mortal wounds. So you're probably talking another 10 damage. You're talking, almost 90 damage versus a 4-up save. That's nice. That's nice. Kroxigor. So, if you just really need the damage versus the hordes, go with units of 6. I think units of 3 will be fine. I do have a couple sample lists here. In this first one, we are taking a unit of 6. This is we're going for that max damage. The only thing I don't have in here is the Purple Sun, but everything else we can achieve. So this is Engine of the Gods, kind of the same, your standard setup. Primor, Beastmaster to give you all those extra attacks. Fusel Conflagration to do some mortal wounds. Curse to do mortal wounds. Artifact to Tixie Grubs on the Slan to give rerolls to the hit, or to the casting. Unbinding to spell. Stellar Tempest to blow up your hordes. And then we got our Skink Star Priest with Hand of Glory. Crucial to a lot of our list. And a Skink Starseer. Also with Hand of Glory, just doubling up on that spell. I'm probably going to be casting its other spell when I have the chance. If the Star Priest dies, then I might go to Hand of Glory. Because really you want that -1 to save on an enemy unit. Also, it'll get your Kroxigor across the board faster because they'll have a longer charge. But when you do that, you're probably charging out of your +1 to hit range, so just be wary of that. My battle line, I am taking 2 units of warriors with clubs, reinforced to 20, and 2 units of knights. The warriors will go into expert conquerors just to help me control objectives, and the knights will go into bounty hunters. We've already talked about them. They can also do a ton of damage already, but then we're throwing a reinforced unit of Kroxigor into bounty hunters. So this is one of those lists that, like, if you come up against a list with a bunch of Galician veterans, ooh, you're rubbing your hands. You're going, I'm killing all of those Galician veterans. I didn't put my grand strategy to be show of dominance probably until that gets updated, but 123 wounds, 10 drops, not too shabby. It's got a lot of damage with the bounty hunter stuff. You got a lot of damage you can do against Galician veterans. So if your meta's not running a lot of Galician veterans, maybe this won't be that impactful. But 6 Kroxigor are still going to do a lot of work. And so it's still a lot of fun. Another list here, list number 2. And I think this one you can kind of split up those Kroxigor a little bit more. So same kind of thing. Engine of the Gods, Slan Starmaster, Star Priest, and Starseer, all the same loadout there. But this time we've got 3 units of reinforced warriors. And I put those in expert conquerors. Yep. Okay, just make sure I did it right. And then I put the 2 small units of Kroxigor in bounty hunters. So they're going to be my only bounty hunters in this one. And that's kind of like your specialty here. You're trying to control the board with the warriors who can still do damage, and you've got all your support pieces to help your warriors and Kroxigor do all the damage. But your Kroxigor are going to be out there hunting those Galician veterans. Maybe taking the flanks if they're playing their Galician veterans in the back, taking the flanks, working their way around. While the rest of your stuff supports your warriors. But I think that would be a pretty fun list right there. 1985, so you're probably just looking for your what's it called? Triumph, if you want it. Or you could probably upgrade some warriors to a unit of guard or something if you wanted to. You've got the points there for it. If you wanted to help protect your Slan a little bit. All right, that's Kroxigor. I think I didn't have a conclusion screen here. I think they're going to be doing enough damage in small units. But if you have a lot of Galician veterans and you have some massive hordes in your meta, toss them into 6, crank that dial up to 9, and show them 80 damage. All right, guys. That's it for Kroxigor. We'll see you next time.